Hi, this is Vanessa Hayes. Welcome to my studio. Today we will be making bookmarks from 2 seascape paintings. I've been thinking about doing some bookmarks. Watched several videos and it was really interesting to me, so I placed an order with Amazon. Just received this yesterday. I don't know if you can tell. Just a little plastic sleeve for bookmarks, so let's give it a try. I measured this out, and it looks like on my Arches pad, I will be able to get about 10 bookmarks out of this. So I've measured it off. Tape down the middle. So what I'm going to do is work 2 different sections, the top and the bottom. Let me adjust this a little bit. So since we're doing a different layout. So we'll do top and bottom. And as I said, I should be able to get 10 of these once it's painted and cut. So I've taped down the middle. And since my favorite subject matter is a beach scene, that's what we're going to do today. The sleeve actually holds about a 4 centimeter bookmark. So I've marked this off and it gave me exactly 5 on top and bottom. So let's just start at the top. I'm going to wet in some sky. Actually, what I need to do is draw a horizon line. Okay. I think while I'm done, I'll go ahead and draw it in on the bottom too. We're going to do basically the same painting top and bottom. Okay, so now let's wet the sky area. Don't necessarily want all of it wet, I don't think. And I'll drop in a little mix of cobalt blue and cerulean blue. You have to keep in mind that these are going to be cut into small strips, so you want to keep your composition designed for the small strips. So everything needs to be pretty close to the same in 5 different segments. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's dry this off. Okay, I think that's pretty well dried. I mostly just wanted to dry off the horizon line because I don't want the water bleeding into the sky. And I failed to mention I was using my number 2 squirrel mop for the sky. I'm going to change now to my number 8 Princeton Aqua Elite Round. And I'm gonna grab this little palette too. Going to pick up some Daniel Smith. And I believe that's the teal blue. I just want to start putting some water in here. Run that across the horizon line. And then do a little dry brush, get some texture in here. I think I need a little bit more, some color. And we'll drag this a little closer to the sand. I'm going to use a phthalo turquoise. We'll get that in on the horizon line. And a little dry brush here to pick up some of this color. As we add our color, we're adding a little bit more definition to our waves. The water gets lighter as we get closer to the sand area, so we'll keep that in mind as we're sweeping some color in here. Then we've got the foam that finds its way onto the sand. I'm going to grab a little bit of phthalo blue. It's a very bright color, so a little goes a long way. Just barely touch it in. Again, we're defining, making more details. I do want to pick up some cerulean blue. It ties in with the sky. Gives a very cohesive look to your colors that you're using. And the water reflects the sky, so it's always good to have some color that matches the sky. And again, you see we're defining more of our foam in our waves. A little bit of French ultramarine in here under the waves. My family loves to go to the Panhandle in Florida, and the Gulf waters are known as the Emerald Coast. So let's drop a little bit of Viridian green to pick up some green that's in the shallower waters. Again, a little bit more dry brush. Maybe a little hard to pick up on the camera, but it's giving just a very faint bit of color, which is all you want right at the edge of the water. All right, I think we're pretty well finished with that. Now let's pick up some buff titanium. I love using buff titanium for the sand. It's a very opaque color, so you want to be careful where you put it. Use a light hand on this one because it will tend to cover up any previous paint that you've put down. So I don't want to put it over my green and my blue. Do want to define the edge of the water though, and I like to leave it white because of the sea foam. Okay. Going to pick up just a little bit of indigo and drop it in on the edge here, just to indicate where the water and the sand are meeting. All right, and we'll dry this off. Now that I've got it dried off, I was just looking, and I think this section, so we'll measure out 4 centimeters. Let's just move it right here, just to keep it in frame. So 4 centimeters would be about to here. And I don't think that's got a lot of interest, so I think I'm going to add a little something to that. So I think right in the bottom, I want to put a little bit of maybe some sea oats. I just want to kind of make a mound right in here. So I'm going to wet this right in there. Let me get back to my smaller brush. Now I'm going to pick up my number 4 long round Princeton Aqua Elite. I'm going to drop a little bit of color into it. Move this one out of the way. And I want to grab, I think I will pull this and grab some Payne's Gray and just kind of dab in, create a little shadow effect. And let's pick up some green. I think just sap green will be fine. And we'll put some lines in here just to indicate some sea oats. I just want to get it started. I don't really want to have much definition right now. I'll dry that off. Again, let's make sure I've got my composition right. I want to look at about 4 centimeters in. So, yep, that looks about right. All right, now with my number 4 long round again, I'm going to pick up a little bit more paint and just do some longer strokes. And again, pick up a little bit of Payne's Gray just to drop a little bit of shadow in under the sea oats. A little bit stronger color here. Maybe indicate some shadows coming in. Now I think we've added some interest on that corner. I'll dry that off. Now let's start on the lower part. Again, we've already marked off our horizon. So cerulean blue in this corner here. We'll take it across, bring it down a little bit. I think I want to brighten the sky up a little bit. Let's put in maybe some golden color here. Got that a little too bright, I think. We'll calm it down some. There we go. Looks a little bit better. Now let's get some pretty pink in the sky. I'm sorry, I failed to mention that for the yellow in the sky, I dropped in some nickel azo yellow. And then for the pink, I picked up a little bit of the Quin magenta. Again, these are all Daniel Smith. All right, now that we've got our sky dried off, let's go on to the water. So again, picking up my number 8 Princeton Aqua Elite Round. And I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up some of the cobalt teal blue. Run that across the horizon. This time I'm just going to make this consistent all the way across instead of having a fade into the distance like I did on the top. I felt like that angle of the water just kind of created a dead space in that bottom corner, so we'll just make this straight all the way across. And dry brush. Well, I do like to use the dry brush technique just to leave some white area for the sea foam. Let's drop a little bit more right in here, separate some wave. And I'm going to pick up some of the phthalo turquoise. Drop that in across the horizon line in the back. And we'll bring some of that color forward. And drop in a little underneath this wave. Give some depth, a little texture. I like to just wiggle my brush along there, give kind of a broken edge. And then let's drag that down just a bit. It gives some movement to the water. Also bring some more color out. I think I want to drop a little bit more in under this wave that's in the middle area. Give some more distinction. Again, a little bit of Viridian under the wave right here. And we'll just dab here and there to emphasize the sea foam. Need to soften my edges up just a bit. Again, some dry brush of this color. And some of the phthalo, just to give a little bit more distinction on the wave. Didn't quite get enough. I like adding these different shades of blue. It picks up so many interesting colors in the water. And let's drop some of that into our distant water. It's a little too heavy. There we go. This is more of a morning sky, so the colors in the water should be pretty soft. Now, let's just round the waves a little bit. And I do this just by dragging some of this residual color in an arched sort of motion to show the rolling waves. Let's soften it up just a little bit with some dabs. Again, using my favorite color for sand is buff titanium. Then drop a little bit of indigo or Payne's gray, either one will work, into it. Kind of neutralize the gold color. And again, want to leave an edge of white. And that gives us our sea foam on the very edge of the breaking water. All right, and while it's damp, I'm going to put some indigo in here just to break up the solid color. And again, it's just a very light hand of the indigo. And now I'm going to lift off just a little around the edge. All right, something I want to do. I want to give a little bit more of a distinguished line here. So I'm going back up here. And I'm going to drop in just a little indigo around the edge of this white where the white is meeting the buff titanium. Let's give us a little bit of shadow from the water. All right, I'm going to do the same thing down here. It helps to give a break. Makes the white look brighter. Nothing too dark. I'm going to give a few little washes here just to have some movement. All right, let's dry this off. All right, with my same brush, and I failed to mention that this is a short liner from Princeton Summit. Let's try this again. Is that dry? Dry enough. And because it's hard to judge like this, since I didn't mark anything off, I'm just going to go in the middle. So we'll have 3 bookmarks from this bottom section that will have birds, and then we'll have 2 on the sides that won't have anything. I'm not crazy about that one. Let's fix that a little bit. There we go. All right, I need to put just another little touch of buff titanium down in this bottom corner. I didn't get that one covered. While we're here, let's add a little texture. All right. And it looks like we're done. So we'll let this dry thoroughly. Then we'll remove it and cut it into our bookmarks. So after everything dried, I cut my bookmarks into strips, and I just don't think the strips without the birds have enough interest. So I think I'm going to add birds to the rest of them. And just to show up close what these look like with the birds, I think it just adds some more life to it. So let's put some birds in the rest of these. And I'm using Payne's Gray. And again, not getting enough color, so let's try this again. Right, we'll let those dry, then we'll put them in the sleeves. So now that we've finished up, just sign the back. We'll slide it into the sleeve. And we'll finish it off with a tassel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.